Yes. Nice to meet you. I am Choi Si-hyuk, Crown Master of Atomy. It's a pleasure to meet you. Before we get started, let me brag a little. For a period of about 40 days, I traveled to the other side of the world, to the amazing countries of Mexico and the United States. While I was traveling like that, I booked my plane tickets, and the names of the cities printed on those tickets were so amazing that I ended up taking a screenshot without even realizing it. Let me show you for a moment. I departed from Incheon to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta, I went to Cancun, Mexico, a place I'd really love to visit for a honeymoon. On the way back, my flight was from Las Vegas, a city everyone wants to visit, to Incheon. Wow, as I looked at the city names printed on these plane tickets, I wondered if it weren't for Atomy, would I ever have been able to take a trip like this? And how would I have been able to book tickets like these? That's what I thought. And then the Mexico branch made a video for me saying I worked really hard, traveling to so many cities. These are the traces of the cities I've passed through. I'll show you for a moment as I talk. This is my Mexico tour itinerary. I visited so many cities. It started in Cancun. I began in the southern region of Mexico, then headed northwest, continuing to move upward. And from the northwest, I started heading north again, this time moving eastward. And from there, I headed northwest again, giving my final lecture in the city of Tijuana before heading to Las Vegas. That was the itinerary. Over the course of more than 30 days, over a month, I traveled through 13 cities in Mexico. How could I possibly visit so many cities? Even if it were just an ordinary trip, it would have been difficult to travel like this for over a month. But thanks to Atomy, I was able to visit so many cities and truly experience it firsthand. With Atomy, it's not just talk. Travel becomes business, and business becomes travel. And through this journey, I gained tremendous vision and was deeply inspired to take on new challenges. Oh, it's actually been quite a while since Atomy opened in Mexico. But Mexico has a population of a whopping 130 million people. Yet the number of registered members is only 85,000. So what percentage of the population has signed up as members? I checked, and it was 0.065%. Then what percentage of people are not yet members? 99.9% is still an untouched area where people haven't signed up yet. And then I calculated the numbers for nearby China as well. What percentage do you think it was for China? 99.8% is still an untouched area where people haven't registered as members. Under. It really feels like there are countless countries out there that are just bursting with potential. In the end, who will be able to claim all that vast land? If I work even harder, I realized I could really get to Imperial faster than anyone else, and I gained the goal and motivation to achieve the dreams I always wanted. It became an experience that truly challenged and inspired me. Even though I now run a global business like this, my previous job was just an ordinary office worker. Before I started working, I had a dream. I was a young person with a dream. What kind of dream was it? My dream was to become a university professor. The reason I wanted to be a professor was because during my college years, I really envied the professors. I thought, professors can spend their whole lives with young people and stay youthful even as they get older. That's why my dream was also to become a university professor. Even though I wasn't very good at studying, I worked hard. And after finishing college, I went on to a master's program. And to become a professor, I needed to pursue a doctoral program. So just in case, I asked a senior for advice. I asked, "Senior, what is the process to become a university professor? And is my dream a good one?" When I asked, the first thing he said was, "No matter how hard you study, I can't guarantee that you'll become a university professor in 10 or 20 years. Second, for those 10 or 20 years when you might or might not become a professor, you'll have to live in real poverty and hardship. Because he said, the only income we have comes from working as adjunct lecturers. The moment I heard that, even though becoming a university professor was my dream, I gave up on it because I didn't want to live such a difficult and impoverished life. And I thought that if I got a job, I would live well, so I got a job. The photo on the left that you see is of me in my early 30s, working at a company. I thought that if I worked at a company, I would live well. So I started working at a company, and my payday was the 25th of every month. And the company, encouraging us to work hard and feel good, would deposit my salary into my Cookman bank account right at 9 a.m. But every month, something ironic would happen. I received my salary that day, but how much do you think was left in my account by the time I got off work? If you're laughing, I'll assume you're similar to me. After paying apartment loan interest, utility bills, and credit card payments here and there, there's not much left in the account. So then, how am I supposed to get by? Once again, I find myself living off my credit card. Even though my salary is definitely a gift from the company, I realized I'm living a post-paid life. So I wondered, isn't there a better way to live? While searching for a better way to live, that's when Atomy came into our lives. The photo you see on the right is of me in my early 40s when I started the Atomy business. Do you think I looked better as a man in my early 30s? Or do you think I look a bit better as a man in my early 40s? Even though I aged 10 more years, everyone says the photo on the right looks a bit better. I think I really gained two things through doing Atomy. First, as I started the Atomy business, I became a regular user of Atomy products myself. And by the way, I didn't use Atomy Absolute Cosmetics or men's cosmetics. I thought the women's cosmetics might be better, so I consistently used the Absolute Cosmetics for 10 years, and as a result, my skin looks even brighter than it did in my 30s. And when I was working at a company, my annual salary was about 40 million won. Now through Atomy, I have joined the Crown Leaders Club, which means I earn over 400 million won a year. With my income increasing tenfold like this, I think that's why I can smile so brightly and cheerfully. Oh, but I wasn't the one who brought Atomy into our lives first. It was my wife who brought it. The photo on the left is my first wife. She was very ill. I was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer, and the photo on the right is of my second wife. When I gave this lecture in Mexico, people joked that I was a playboy. But yes, both the left and right photos are of the same wife. Although she was that sick, now she is truly healthy and we are working hard together on the Atomy business. She was a breast cancer patient and was told she couldn't have children, but whether it was God's blessing or not, although we hoped for a daughter, we were given 2 more sons, so I became the father of 3 boys. When my wife was diagnosed with cancer at the young age of exactly 30, many of our friends and acquaintances felt very sorry for us. So they suggested trying this and that, and we ended up receiving a few gifts. At that time, almost like a miracle, Atomy's foam cleanser was given to us as a gift. It wasn't even the evening set. We just received a single foam cleanser as a gift from the person who is now our sponsor. And with just that one foam cleanser, that sponsor ended up having a crown master in their downline. What I want to highlight here, since we're talking about the path to success, is that you don't always have to give big gifts. If you give small gifts, even something as simple as a foam cleanser, it could lead to a crown master. That's another tip I'd like to share with you. Anyway, my wife tried using this foam cleanser and was extremely satisfied with it. Oh, I'm sure everyone here does something similar. For example, let's say you use this laser pointer, and after trying it, you find it really good. Then what do you usually check? Hey, where is this from? And you end up checking the maker. My wife also tried the foam cleanser, and since she liked it so much, she wondered, oh, which brand is this? But when she checked, it was a brand she had never seen before. Atomy. Then she went to the Atomy website through Naver, Once she got there, she saw that they were selling everyday necessities like shampoo, conditioner, foam cleanser, deep cleanser, toothpaste, and toothbrushes, things we all need to use anyway. So, what do you think my wife did after having a good experience with the foam cleanser? Thinking that the other products would probably be good too, she gradually started switching the everyday items we needed to Atomy products one by one. So how did we get started? We began simply as consumers who liked Atomy's products. Then one day, while we were just being consumers, we saw a deposit in our bank account from Atomy sponsorship. And at that time, about 75,000 won in commission had been credited. Curious about why this money had come in, my wife decided to attend a seminar, just like many of you who are sitting here for the first time today. And although I don't know exactly what she heard or saw there, when she came back home, she looked at me and said that we should try doing Atomy as a business. I had no idea what Atomy was, so I asked her, "What is Atomy and why do you want to start a business with it?" When I asked her that, she answered very briefly in just 3 syllables: multi-level marketing. How do you think a husband would feel after hearing those 3 words? She had just barely finished her hospital treatments and now she says she wants to do this? I can't do it. I was against it. I told her, if anything, just open a coffee shop instead. I'll help you however I can, but absolutely not. Do you want to ruin our family? With that, I said I couldn't do it. But my wife must have seen such a big vision that while I was at work, she visited centers and seminars and started the business. The things in our house gradually started turning white. Every time I saw that, my wife and I fought over and over again. As our marital conflict grew more intense, my wife must have reached her limit because she made me an offer I couldn't refuse. "What do you suggest?" She said, "They say even the wishes of the dead are granted, so please grant just one wish for me, who came back from the brink of death." When I asked what her wish was, she said, "Instead of just automatically rejecting everything, at least listen to it once, then you can decide whether to oppose it or not." Isn't that reasonable? Is that wrong? Could I refuse such a request? Of course not. So I said, "All right, I'll listen." And that's how I ended up sitting in this seminar as well. When I said I would listen just once, I don't know what my sponsor asked for, but they put me right in the very front row so I couldn't even run away. That day, as I was attending the seminar, this is how I felt. I really disliked Atomy. And I had only one conviction. My conviction was that I had to find a reason why Atomy wouldn't work, no matter what, and get my wife out of this Atomy business. So, how do you think I felt while listening to the seminar that day? I started listening with a negative mindset, just looking for reasons why it wouldn't work, trying to find any possible reason for failure. So, why is it that someone like me, who was so negative and disliked Atomy, is now here today giving a lecture about Atomy? As I was trying to find reasons not to do it, I actually started to think that I'd be a fool not to. And even if I didn't do the business, even if I just became a consumer, I thought I'd be an absolute fool not to at least do that. Why? Because we have to keep consuming for the rest of our lives. We need to use daily necessities until the day we die. Since we're going to use these products anyway, what do we get if we use Atomy's products? We receive rewards, commissions. Even if all you do is use the products, what do you get? What do you get? There's nothing to lose, only things to gain. So I thought, even as a consumer, you'd be a fool not to do it. At the end, as I explained earlier, if you keep creating consumers like yourself, whose sales PV gets credited all the way up to whom? It all gets credited up to me. And that too, to an unlimited number of levels. Wow. Are people who use daily necessities only in Korea? Will all of humanity around the world use them? Hey, maybe this could really work. And even though I was so against it, after attending that seminar, I told my wife to try the Atomy business. From that point on, my wife started running a business with Atomy. As for me, I continued working at my job to support our household finances. All right, so that's how the Atomy business started. and I continued as a typical office worker, just like most people in Korea. Let me show you a comparison of how the results changed. Here, take a look at this graph. The red line on the graph, this is not my first year at work. It shows my monthly salary, graphed out by month from around my first year at work. Do you know what surprised me the most when I drew this graph? Wow, it turns out that this really is the thing that increases the least. My husband's salary, and as for the blue line on the graph, it shows my wife's monthly income from doing the Atomy business graphed out by month. Now everyone here, no one gets to live twice. If you only live this life once, what do you think? Would you choose the life represented by the red line on the graph, where you get your salary on time and regularly, but if you get fired or quit, you don't get a single cent? Or would you rather choose the life represented by the blue line on the graph, which may start off small but gradually rises upward over time? Which color would you like to choose? But really, what's the point in asking? If everyone could, they would choose the blue graph. Now, there are two main reasons why I showed you this graph. First, I want to show you that the choice of tools really creates an enormous gap as time goes by. Second, everyone here can achieve that blue graph. Do you think the people who came up on stage today are somehow better than you? What did the person who just gave a lecture say they were? They said they were a credit delinquent. While listening to the Imperial's lectures, I checked all of their previous jobs. I checked all of them. There was a failed orange store owner, a credit delinquent. It seems like in Atomy, unless you failed or become a credit delinquent, you can't succeed. So I wondered, do I need to fail at something too? In other words, what does this mean about who can succeed in Atomy? It means anyone can succeed, but Atomy isn't easy either. It's not a walk in the park. If making money were that easy, everyone in the world would be rich. Everyone would be living well. I started the Atomy business with my wife's permission. And then I worked hard, carrying products in both hands, on my back, running around and spreading the word. But how did the people around me react? While I was going around talking about Atomy, people around me would whisper and point fingers saying, that woman who studied in Japan came back, got cancer, and now she's gone crazy, going around selling toothpaste and toothbrushes. I saw her often despairing alone because of those rumors. And I saw her come home crying in the car so many times because of those words. She started the business in the early days wearing a wig, and she cried so much, wiping away her tears, that the wig would get pushed up and turned around. When she came home like that, it looked like Wang Fei-hung was walking in. So Wang Fei-hung would come in like that, and I would say this to my wife. I told her to quit that worthless job, just take care of the house and raise the kids properly. Can you imagine how hard it must have been, that situation back then? So I thought my wife would give up. I really thought she would give up. But once a month, she would go somewhere, spend the night, and come back home. Then her eyes would light up again, and she'd go on about Atomy, Atomy, Atomy. And whenever it seemed like she was losing energy again, she'd go off somewhere, stay overnight, and come back. After that, her eyes would be full of life again, and she'd go on about Atomy, Atomy, Atomy. Then, at some point, she started earning a commission that was twice my salary. And I'm going to say this as if to vent some of the sadness I've been feeling all this time. You can use your salary as your own allowance. And then more time passed. And again, as if to get back at me, she says one more thing. Quit that job that doesn't even pay well and let's do the Atomy business together.